Yeah, battery day, guys. And I cannot tell you how excited I am, okay? Freaking 4 minutes and 30 seconds until the battery day that we all want to watch together, okay? I know we want to have Elon Musk dancing as well. This is, our favorite thing to watch, but today it's all about batteries, guys, okay? I think that there is something to talk about. Prior to that, we have exactly 4 minutes, guys, and just to let you know, this is the live stream website of Tesla, which we will definitely, follow. Then we will have here the stream from Tesla YouTube in case we going down. Then we have here the live Tesla stock reaction. Obviously, this is all from an investor point of view. And then obviously we will have also the Elon Musk Twitter feed in case we are having some, delays like we had in Neuralink. Some people are watching here from Neuralink presentation just a couple of weeks ago. As you know, we had like a half an hour delay. So we don't want to do this anymore. And before we diving in, make sure to smash that like button. This is highly appreciated, guys. If you are in the same opinion like Jim Carrey here. And let's have a look what is to be expected tonight or this afternoon, or if you're watching, from wherever you are watching from, let me know in the comments, guys, because this is super important for me. We have always a huge community here, and for those who are watching something else, I can only say ain't nobody got time for that. So I really want to dive into this real quick before the overall presentation by Tesla will start. So real quick, we have here the leaked page of the apparently Roadrunner project, which is the production of the battery cells that are new, right? This is something important that we definitely will have a walkthrough through Tesla employees, or we have some kind of presentation. I don't know. I'm not sure how they will present it. Obviously, then we had something that is very important. Nobody knows why he did it. Elon Musk shoot out a tweet about 24 hours ago to say important note that about Tesla battery day unveiled tomorrow. This affects long-term production, especially semi, Cybertruck and Roadster, but what we will announce will not reach serious high volume production until 2022. We intend to increase, not reduce, battery cell purchases from Panasonic, LG, CATL, possibly other partners too. However, even with our cell suppliers going at maximum speed, we still foresee a significant shortage in 2022 and beyond, unless we also take action ourselves. The extreme difficulty of scaling production of new technology is not well understood. It's 1,000 to 10,000% harder than making a few prototypes. The machine that makes the machine is vastly harder than the machine itself. So yeah, maybe some conspiracy people out there will tell me, there was 5 times the letter A and 3 times the number 2. That means that we will have a brand new Roadster in the end of 2032. I have no idea, guys, okay? But I'm very, very much forward looking. The stock lost about 5.6% today, intraday. After hours, it was a little bit negative. Now it's a little bit positive. This will change the whole evening, guys. So don't make too much expectations into one or the other direction. We shall see. Okay, nobody can actually really set the stage what will happen with the stocks. But what I will really say, guys, what will really matter is what are the expectations, and can be the expectations beaten up. So apparently it's just a YouTube feed that we have here. Let me know if we have something already. But apparently this is just, until now, still no feed, guys. Okay, no feed. If there is something going on that I'm not aware of, guys, let me know in the comments. But it's definitely nothing going on as of now. It will be definitely here. 85,000 people are watching, guys. 100,000 people are watching, guys. Okay, this number is exponentially growing faster than the sales of those people producing the Tesla and sell the Tesla. Just to let you know, the stock is now 1.36% higher than during the day. And just to continue on the things what to expect, it will be all about expectation, guys. And this guy, Mayur, I found him here on Twitter, said it very well. Tesla's new tabless Roadrunner in-house cell with 1 million mile or 4,000 charge cycle capacity will be the final solution to permanently shift cost economics from petrol cars to EVs. Battery Day might go down as one of the most seminal moments in automotive and industrial history. Well, I can tell you guys, there will be one number that will matter, okay? How much of a cost will it be to produce the new battery, guys? Okay, this will be so important for Tesla, because in the end of the day, the current battery costs about, I think, $125 per kilowatt hour, and if we are going to $75 per kilowatt hour, this is the breaking even with the internal combustion engine. Very important, guys, very important. And then we should also get some news from the latest acquisition of Maxwell, right? The company that Tesla was acquiring. Very interesting with this dry battery electrode that they are having, and which technology Tesla bought in the end of the day, having a huge place saving, space saving method to produce batteries. And I think this will be also very important. But I'm very much focused to see really what's going on Tesla side of the stock, guys, because we are still a stock investing channel. Obviously, I will comment not that much or not that deep into the technicals. I mean, the difference between a great, very great, deep technical solution can be definitely to be told by a engineer. But what I'm really looking forward is, will we have the one more thing, guys? Okay, and a couple of months ago, this was the Roadster that was presented together with the semi-truck. And if this is the case, then I really would love to see, I would love to see a new car, right? Because if you're looking into the car sales business, we need new models, right? We need smaller models, we need models that we want to drive in the city with, and I think this is super important to have new models all around. Now, on the other side, I'm also quite interested, this was the other one more thing during the presentation of the Autonomous Day, right? This was the ride-sharing app, or the robotaxi concept that was there. I'm super, super excited. I'm super, super pumped, guys. I'm definitely seeing so much value here in today's presentation. It seems that until now, there is no presentation, guys. Okay, as you can see, there is kind of, a presentation, a video presentation without any sound. So we still have some time. Let's like the live stream, which is very important for creators. I'm looking forward into that. I hope the sound is fantastic here in the stream. Okay, it seems there's something going on. We hope now it starts. Everybody's watching. 160,000 people are watching. Yeah, all around the world. The most futuristic company on earth, arguably. Yeah. Let me know what you're doing, guys. Let me know where you are from. How was your day, guys? How you are watching? You're watching on the TV? Are you watching on your phone? Are you watching on your desktop? So this is such an event that, we waited so long for that. I don't even remember. I think it was even teased 2019. If I'm not mistaken. I think this was teased 2019. Tesla said, we have a couple of big events coming up with the Autonomous Day, with so much going on. I'm super excited, guys. I'm super excited. Don't forget, while we are waiting, obviously it's appreciated if you thumb up this live stream. Follow me on Instagram if you want. There is more content they are posting, while I'm on the road, while I'm not doing daily vlogs or live streams. Other than that, we need a little bit of patience. Let's see if Elon Musk tweeted something. By the way, just to give you a small agenda here, we are looking into the first is the annual shareholder meeting. So we will watch the annual the annual shareholder meeting, and then they want to go on the battery day. So I don't know if this is the real agenda. It's nothing, that I saw it's official, or I just saw it on CNBC. But just to summarize for all those people that maybe just joined, what will be important, what Elon Musk is showing us today, is definitely the costs of battery, number one, scaling of production, number two, maybe one more thing, a new car, people say maybe the plane, I don't know. If there are people out there that thinking that this is not an important day, this is the only thing I can say. Laughing at those short sellers out there, because it's one of the most important days here, right? Let me have a look meanwhile who is here in the live chat, guys. So we have our members, Alexander Russo. We have our member Klusk 2. Then we have our another member from Boston, Imran Mughal. We have Tuhin here. We have Original Diamonds by Jason Withers, our member. Ryan is our member. Ronnie Freyer, our member too. Tech Freaks, also our member from Berlin. Who else I didn't saw so far? Then Robert Howard, our member. And we have a brand new member that just joined, Sasha O. Gomez. Thank you very much for joining. What What else? Who else we have? Mario from London, guys. Don't forget the thumb up. Yeah, that would be highly appreciated. Then we have Tony Riedemann from El Paso. That's fantastic. Let me know, guys, where you're watching from, okay? I want to know, everyone, can we complete all the continents in the whole world, guys? Okay, we have US, we have so we have North America, we have South America, we have Europe, definitely. We have Middle East, do we have Africa and Australia as well? And I think it's Australia. We have Ryan. Ryan is here from Australia. Do we have okay, Africa we have as well. That's fantastic. Now we need Asia. Do we have Asia? Do we have Asia here? Someone from, Singapore, India. Is India Asia? I don't think so. Let's see if we have Asia, Australia. So all we need is Asia, I think. And then we have basically Thailand. Tom from Thailand, thank you very much. We have all continents that are somehow, having an internet connection and watching with me here tonight. I love you guys. I love you guys. What else can I tell you while we are waiting? The question is how the Tesla stock will react. I can tell you the last couple of big events, the Tesla stock lost about some percentage points. I think it was about 4 to 5% on Cybertruck reveal, and we had about 6% or even more on Autonomous Day. I mean, Autonomous Day was a pretty bad area or time for Tesla, because we are actually had a very, very bad stock movement towards the lowest point ever. I remember seeing Tesla pre-split price at 178, right? This would be somewhere around $35 now if you consider the split price. Okay. Other than that, I'm super relaxed, because I know that long term, and this is something that is very, very important. Long term, guys, it's all that matters. All right. If you are good and if you are lucky, then you might predict where is stock going, the next couple of hours. And here we go, guys. We are live. There's no sound yet. Let's see if they switch on sound. There is no sound so far, guys. It takes some time, guys. We're just talking about the most futuristic event that we have seen in a very, very long time. Okay, this is historic, guys.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Here we go. Enjoy.
Welcome to Tesla's 2020 annual meeting of stockholders. We're really excited that you could be here with us today. My name is Al Prescott. I'm Tesla's Vice President of Legal. There'll be two parts of today's meeting. First, the formal part of the meeting will get out of the way, which will cover the 7 items that stockholders have been asked to vote on. After the voting, I'll introduce Tesla's co-founder and CEO, Elon Musk, who'll give a presentation about the company update and year in review. And then following the conclusion of the stockholder meeting, we'll start our separate Battery Day event. At this time, I'd like to thank the members of the Tesla team and our board, especially those who were able to make it out here in person today, as well as to our representative from PricewaterhouseCoopers, Tesla's independent auditor, who's also here. But before we begin, I'd like to introduce you to Robin Denholm, the chairwoman of Tesla, who would like to say a few words remotely.
Thank you, Al. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2020 Tesla shareholder meeting. A special welcome to the many Tesla shareholders that have joined us today in person, as well as online from across the country and around the globe. I wanted to start today's proceedings by thanking you, our our shareholders for your tremendous support over the last year, and especially to those of you who have been with us through our journey over the past 10 years since the company's IPO in 2010. While we have stayed true to our mission of accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy, in many ways, our company has evolved beyond recognition over the past decade, and that is a great thing. In fact, the pace of developments and the evolution of Tesla has further accelerated over the past 15 months since I last addressed you in June of 2019. You'll hear more about many of the specific achievements from Elon later in the agenda, but I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of our Tesla employees across the globe who have done a tremendous job of executing and staying focused on delivering for our customers and shareholders as the world has gone through one of the most challenging periods in our lifetimes. As a board, we have always taken a long-term view. We have made decisions and supported decisions made by the management team that may not have seemed obvious at the time, but are delivering and will continue to deliver breakthrough results. But it's also important to remember why we do this. As a company, we are focused on addressing one of the biggest environmental challenges of our generation: how to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. The last year in particular has seen a tremendous increase in momentum in the movement to sustainable energy from both shareholders and the general public. So in addition to developing amazing clean transportation and energy products, we are doing our part by contributing the right facts and information to this important issue. And we released an extended version of our impact report in April of 2020. In this year's version, we have covered in great detail many areas that are important to our shareholders and our customers alike, such as our environmental impact, greenhouse and other noxious gas elimination, our supply chain efforts, especially in cobalt, and our culture and people focus. We hope that by continuing to put this data out there, we will underscore to the world the importance and impact that we are having as a company. Lastly, continuous feedback and input from our shareholders is essential for us to do our jobs, and I would like to thank you for your support in this regard. Many of you have provided me and the team with ideas and insights that we as a board take into consideration as we evolve our governance and company practices. It's especially crucial to the board members as we pride ourselves in adaptability and the diversity of thought and experience that we collectively represent on the board. This brings me to my final two things today. As today is his last shareholder meeting, on behalf of the board, I would like to sincerely thank Steve Jurvetson for over a decade of service to Tesla, the board, and our shareholders. You will be missed. Finally, I would like to introduce to you our newest member of the board, Hiro Mizuno, who until recently led the largest pension fund in the world. He brings a wealth of experience to the board, but let me hand over to Hiro to say a few words. Hiro.
Thank you, Robin. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tesla Annual Shareholders Meeting. It is my real pleasure to virtually meet you, Tesla shareholders, people who believe in Tesla's mission and its growth opportunities. I spent all my career in finance and asset management in Tokyo, New York, London, and Silicon Valley. Until recently, I was the chief investment officer of GPIF, $1.5 trillion Japanese public pension fund. And one of my priorities as an investment chief was to promote responsible investments, which aim to make financial returns while pursuing ESG agenda, such as environment and social issues. I believe in the market where ESG is becoming mainstream, purpose or mission-driven businesses will gain long-term investor support. This is why I was interested in Tesla, where our mission is to accelerate the world transition to sustainable energy. I'm very excited to join the Tesla team on that journey and hope to assist Tesla deliver what investors expect by further enhancing its environmental and social impact. Once again, Tesla shareholders, thanks for your support. I'm looking forward to seeing you in person next year. Thank you.
Fantastic. Welcome on board.
Thanks, Robin and Hiro. I will now call the meeting to order. Please refer to the meeting agenda that has been provided to you and posted also to our virtual meeting site. The time is now 1:49 p.m. Pacific time, and I declare that the polls are now open. We've already received voting proxies from stockholders over the past few weeks, meaning that almost all of the votes that will be counted were already submitted before the meeting. However, if you wish to vote now or to change your prior vote, you may do so through the virtual meeting site. For those that are here in person today, ballots and ballot boxes were available to you at check-in. Tesla's board of directors has appointed Computershare Trust Company to serve as inspector of elections for the meeting. Computershare has taken and signed an oath as inspector of election and has certified that starting on August 13th, 2020, the proxy material or a notice of internet availability of the proxy material were mailed or provided to all Tesla stockholders of record as of July 31, 2020. We have a majority of the outstanding shares represented at the meeting. So I declare that there is now a quorum present and that we may proceed with the meeting. The items on the agenda are as follows. The election of 3 Class 1 directors, Elon Musk, Robin Denholm, and Hiromichi Mizuno, to each serve for a term of 3 years. 2, to approve Tesla's executive compensation on an advisory basis. And 3, to ratify the appointment of PricewaterhouseCoopers, LLP, as Tesla's independent registered public accounting firm for the fiscal year of 2020. Tesla's board has recommended that our stockholders vote for each of the director nominees and for each of those proposals. In addition, we have also received 4 stockholder proposals, as described in the proxy statement. I would like to remind our stockholders that Tesla's board has prepared a statement in opposition to each of these proposals, which appear in the proxy. The first stockholder proposal is an advisory vote regarding paid advertising. Our board has recommended that our stockholders vote against this stockholder proposal. This stockholder proposal comes to us from James Danforth. However, Mr. Danforth has notified us that neither he nor his representative will be presenting the proposal at the meeting today, so we will continue. The second stockholder proposal is an advisory vote regarding simple majority voting in our governing documents. Our board has recommended that our stockholders vote against this stockholder proposal. The proposal comes from James McRitchie, who is on the line to present the proposal today. Mr. McRitchie, I would like to invite you now to present. You'll have 3 minutes.
Oh, look at that. Look how it's organized.
I'd like to thank the board for holding such an innovative hybrid meeting during these difficult times. Proposal number 5 basically asks for a majority voting standard to amend bylaws. I first introduced a proposal on this subject at the 2014 Tesla meeting. Supermajority provisions are generally used to entrench incumbent directors and managers. Academic research finds that reducing such devices is associated with higher returns. The board's opposition statement argues they tried to adopt a majority standard last year, but shareholders rejected it. However, 99.6% of shares voted for the proposal. Only 0.4% voted against it. The problem was that a little more than 35% of shares went unvoted. The vast majority of retail shareholders often don't bother to vote. Since only 65% of shares were voted, we didn't achieve the 66.67% necessary to overturn the current supermajority bylaw. It appears the proposal failed primarily for three reasons. One, the board put forth less than robust arguments in favor. Two, they added confusion with another proposal to reclassify the board not into a single class, that's the norm, but into two classes, elected in alternate years. Third, the board also failed to make a substantial effort to solicit votes in favor. Also, please consider this proposal in context with other poor corporate governance provisions at Tesla. First, shareholders can only remove directors for cause. What that basically means is the director has to be caught in criminal activity for shareholders to remove them. Second, because the board is divided into three classes, shareholders can only hold individual directors accountable every 3 years. And third, shareholders cannot call special meetings nor can act by written consent. I hope you will agree. Corporations should not be democratic free zones. Vote for proposal number 5 so that 33% of shares cannot overrule the wishes of 67%. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McRitchie. We'll now move on to our third stockholder proposal, which is an advisory vote regarding reporting on employee arbitrations. Our board has recommended that our stockholders vote against this stockholder proposal. This proposal comes from NIA Impact Capital, whose representative, Kelly Hall, is on the line to present the proposal today. Ms. Hall, I'd like to invite you to go ahead and present. You'll have 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Dr. Kristen Hull, and I'm the founder and CEO of NIA Impact Capital. I formally move proposal 6. This resolution requests that Tesla's board of directors oversee the preparation of a report on the impact of the use of mandatory arbitration on Tesla's employees and on its workplace culture. The report will evaluate the association of Tesla's current use of arbitration with the prevalence of both harassment and discrimination in its workplace, and on employees' ability to seek redress should harassment or discrimination occur. This proposal speaks to the widespread experience of discrimination in the workplace by Black, Latinx, and female employees, despite this discrimination being unlawful under the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Tesla has faced a number of serious allegations of racism and sexism at its Buffalo and Fremont plants. Companies that allow bias, discrimination, and harassment in their workplaces are at risk for unnecessary legal, brand, financial, and human capital issues. Support for this resolution is warranted for the following 5 reasons. 1. Research shows that companies benefit from diverse and inclusive workplaces. 2. Corporate policies that allow harassment and discrimination risk investors' capital. 3. The use of arbitration exposes investors to an unknown level of risk. 4. Broad concerns exist with respect to fair treatment in Tesla workplace, and Tesla employees have alleged harassment and discrimination on the basis of both race and gender. Tesla, a company investors love for its innovation, leadership, and wise moat, is increasingly lagging behind its peers in its disclosure related to workplace diversity, equity, and inclusion. Unlike the forward-thinking and innovation in its extraordinary product line, Tesla has not shown proactive leadership in building a positive company culture or in addressing concerns about its workplace practices. In these material issues, Tesla lags behind its technology and automotive competitors. The use of arbitration limits employees' remedies for wrongdoing, precludes employees from suing in court, and often keeps underlying facts, misconduct, or case outcomes secret, therefore preventing employees from learning about and acting on shared concerns. Simply stated, arbitration allows bad corporate behavior, like bias, harassment, and discrimination to continue, hidden from employees and investors. To maintain Tesla's wide moat, it is essential that the board seriously assess the implications of the use of arbitration, and that Tesla begin to take seriously the need to ensure a fair, equitable, positive, and inclusive
Thank you, Ms. Hall. Our fourth and final proposal is an advisory vote regarding reporting on human rights. Our board has recommended that stockholders vote against this proposal. This proposal comes to us from the Sisters of Good Shepherd, New York Province, whose representative, Terrence Collinsworth, is on the line to present today. Mr. Collinsworth, I would like to invite you to speak now. You have 3 minutes for your proposal.
Thank you. I'm Terry Collinsworth, Executive Director of the International Rights Advocates. I'm here representing the Sisters of Good Shepherd, New York Province, to present item 7 on human rights disclosure, which calls upon Tesla to issue a report to describe board oversight of human rights and its human rights due diligence process, including systems to provide meaningful remedies when human rights impacts occur. Tesla faces serious human rights issues, and failure to establish a culture of respect for human rights will expose Tesla to new liability issues and significant reputational injury, all of which will have a material impact on the company and its shareholders. The need to set a new course for human rights compliance at Tesla is glaring. Here are 5 examples of human rights violations occurring now in Tesla's operations. Racism, sexual harassment, and disregard for human safety and dignity harm workers at the Gigafactory 2 in Buffalo, New York every single day, and those workers urge you to remember their experiences in your vote. Tesla is experiencing serious labor relations issues at its production facilities and is actively discouraging union organizing. Workers are being exposed to COVID-19 and then are facing retaliation when they ask for greater protections. There are numerous worker health and safety violations as well as wage and hour issues. And finally, there are serious, even deadly human rights violations occurring in Tesla's global supply chains. On this last issue, my organization brought the pending suit against Tesla for using cobalt mined in the Democratic Republic of Congo by young children. I personally met young boys who lost limbs or were paralyzed in cobalt tunnel collapses. Tesla sources cobalt from these very mines, and its claim to have, quote, zero tolerance for child labor in its supplier code of conduct is simply not true. Tesla is not only tolerating child labor in its cobalt supply chain, it is tolerating the death and maiming of young child miners. This demonstrates why the company must circle back and begin a process to report on its treatment of human rights issues as requested in this proposal. I think consumers will have zero tolerance for a company that is exposed as being indifferent to killing and maiming child miners. We are hopeful that Tesla's innovative spirit can be brought to bear on making human rights a priority at the company. For example, if Elon Musk cared about implementing a zero-tolerance child labor policy, instead of having a useless paper policy, Tesla could employ satellites or drones at every mine it sources from to actually monitor child labor. I encourage all Tesla shareholders to vote for Item 7, Human Rights Disclosure. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Collinsworth. At this time, I'd like to thank our stockholders for all of their active participation in today's meeting and for those who just presented on the line. I'd also like to read some of the comments that have been submitted by you over the course of the meeting. First comment comes from Michael Overbaugh. I take great pride in the fact that we haven't had to stoop to the level of what advertising represents to get where we are today. I'd hate to give in to that kind of temptation now when we're so close to becoming a household name that's based solely on our merit alone. But if assets do end up having to be set aside for marketing, I'd like to suggest that rather than shoving ads down the customers' throats, we establish some sort of hardcore nationwide campaign and event with the goal of getting as many people as possible behind the wheel of a Tesla for an introduction drive. It's well known how far just doing that alone goes to converting people into fans. A line I recently ran across says, "You can talk all about the specs as much as you want, but when it comes to buying a car, what ultimately puts butts in seats is the feeling that the vehicle gives you." By demonstrating that Tesla clearly has both the specs and the feeling, what more needs saying? Our second comment comes from the United Steelworkers on behalf of the Clean Air Now Coalition of Western New York by Sabrina Liu. Proposal, and it reads as follows: Proposals 6 and 7, up for vote this year, are the results of widespread concern about mistreatment of Tesla workers at U.S. factories and across the supply chain. It is clear that Tesla is not interested in addressing the harm they have caused to their workers, as their board is advising shareholders to vote against the proposal. We're urging all shareholders to vote in favor of Proposals 6 and 7. And on behalf of our workers at the United Steelworkers here in Western New York, and for Tesla employees across the country and across the global supply chain, while this doesn't repair the harm that's already been caused to countless employees, nor repair harm to children and communities forced into slave labor in the DRC, they represent steps towards a more just workplace at Tesla. This concludes all of the comments. Thank you all for your participation in the comments. We'll now have a final opportunity for any of you to submit proxies in order for them to be counted. So I'll pause and wait for a moment for you to do that.
So guys, it was just me putting Ellen on the stage. This was not real footage from the presentation, guys.
The polls are now closed. So based on the proxies that we have previously received, I'd like to announce on a preliminary basis that our stockholders have approved the recommendations of Tesla's board on all agenda items other than the stockholder proposal for an advisory vote regarding simple majority voting in our governing documents. After the final tabulation is completed, we'll formally announce the results of the voting by filing a Form 8K with the SEC within 4 business days of today.
So, but though, guys, he's definitely warming up, okay? He's warming up.
2020 annual stockholders meeting, which is now adjourned. Next, we will have a company update and a year in review presented by Elon, and then we will start our Battery Day event. During the course of those following sessions, we may discuss our business outlook and make forward-looking statements. Such statements are predictions based on our current expectations. Actual events or results could materially differ due to a number of risks and uncertainties, including those disclosed in our most recent 10-Q filed with the SEC. These forward-looking statements represent our views as of today. They shouldn't be relied on after today, and we disclaim any obligation to update them after today as well. We will now continue with the company update and year in review. And it's my pleasure to introduce Tesla co-founder and CEO,
Yeah,
Elon Musk.
here we come. Yes, sir.
Hey everyone.
Hi, Ellen.
Well, I mean, this is definitely a new approach. We got the Tesla drive-in movie theater, basically. It's good to see everyone. It's a little hard to read the room with everyone being in cars, but it's it's the only way we can do it. So hopefully it's cool, and hopefully you can hear me. Can you guys hear me? Okay. All right, great. All right. Well, thanks for coming. I think it's been an incredible year, and I'd like to thank you for your support through tough times, good times. It's been great. Really appreciate everyone who's put their hard-earned money into Tesla, and I think it's worked out pretty well. This has been a good year, and I think there's many good years to come. So I'll go through the sort of the shareholder presentation, I think, fairly quickly, because the sort of real main event here is Factory Day. So, and really I'm just going through a recap of what's happened over the past year or so. Starting from in terms of our ability to create a factory, huge kudos to the Tesla Shanghai team for being able to go from literally a dirt pile to volume production in 15 months.
Yes, sir.
It's like, damn. Yeah. So, and I think something that's really quite noteworthy here is Tesla is the only foreign manufacturer to have a 100% owned factory in China. So this is often not well understood or not appreciated, but to have the only 100% owned foreign factory in China is a really big deal, and it's paying huge dividends here. So we really wouldn't have the results that we have had this year without the great efforts of the Tesla China team. So I'm super appreciative of that. And we'll see the Shanghai factory continue to scale quite a bit from where it is right now. I think we really could expect that to be, over time, a factory that produces over 1 million vehicles a year. Yeah, it's cool. So let's see. So we also reached in the past year volume production of the Model Y, and this was the smoothest launch that we've ever had. So I think we're definitely getting better at new vehicle launches and building factories and scaling production. As you've heard me say before, it's the hardest thing is scaling production, especially of a new technology. It's insanely difficult. Making a prototype is relatively easy, and if I think like what is the real achievement of Tesla in sort of car company terms, it's like it wasn't making sort of exciting prototypes. It was that Tesla was really the first company in about a century in the U.S., the first U.S. company in the U.S. to reach volume production and be sustainably profitable. Like the crazy thing is this has really not happened in 100 years. That's the actual super hard part. And we now have 4 vehicles in volume production, S3 XY. So also the toughest joke, I think maybe ever. It's a very difficult joke to make. So we also introduced the lowest cost solar in the US. It's only $1.49 a watt. And we really just simplified the whole value chain. So reduced sales and advertising, got rid of a bunch of unnecessary costs, and really are just relying upon the fact that it's just the lowest cost, most efficient solar in the U.S., providing both retrofit and the solar glass roof, which I think is a really great product, a hard product to make work, but it will be a major product line in the future. And we also got 4 consecutive quarters of GAAP profitability, which was very difficult. Yeah. So, and so a testament to the hard work of people at Tesla. I mean, to do this in extremely difficult times against a wide range of adverse circumstances was insanely hard.
Yeah.
But we got it done. So, and I think the future's looking like I think very promising from sort of an annual profitability standpoint. So, in order to achieve, in order to sort of do well financially, you really need economies of scale, and you need ideally the best technology. And I think we had the best technology for a while, but now we are also achieving economies of scale. So, and we're also rapidly improving autonomy, which is a massive value add to each car. So, I think the value of Tesla is going to be like total, just on the vehicle side, total vehicles produced times the value of autonomy. that's a way to think about the future value of Tesla. We also have consistent free cash flow generation.
That's very important,
this is
guys.
really important for growth. A key element here is tightening up the time from when a car is ordered to when it is built and delivered. So for a company that's growing rapidly, it's extremely important to tighten the supply chain and to have from when parts arrive, put it into a car very quickly and deliver the car very quickly to the customer. And if you can do that inside the sort of your kind of payables timeline, then the faster you grow, the more cash you have. Or conversely, if you're unable to do it within your payables timeline, the faster you grow, the less money you will have, which is obviously bad.
Obviously.
For capital-intensive situations. So just tightening up and having the parts move very quickly to the factory, put it in a car, get it to a customer, makes a massive difference to cash flow generation. And I mean, that's why it's extremely important to have a factory in each continent. Because if you don't at least have a factory in the continent, it is impossible to achieve this. So having a factory in China that's able to serve China, and then soon many other countries in the region, will be key to us tightening that total sort of chain of cash flow and getting it. Essentially, the faster we grow, the more cash. This is really important. That's also why it's important to have Giga Berlin complete, because then we'll have a factory in China, factory in the U.S., and soon a second factory in the U.S. in Austin, and a factory in Europe. And I mean, even if for Giga Texas in Austin, even if we had exactly the same costs as in California, it would still be advantageous to do it there because it's roughly 2/3 of the way across the U.S. So in terms of delivering cars to the central U.S. and to the East Coast, it's just faster, costs less, and it fundamentally improves our economics. So I think this is also maybe something that's not fully appreciated of just how important it is to have a factory at least on the continent or reasonably close to where the end customers is, so you can tighten that whole chain. Industry performance. While the rest of industry has gone down, Tesla has gone up. I think this speaks to. Thanks. And so I'd like to thank all the customers for taking a chance on Tesla and buying our product, and really hope you're enjoying it. This is really, our sales, as Elle was saying, really grow by word of mouth. So this is really, I think, a very pure. It's very pure in the sense that it's growing on the basis of existing owners recommending it to new customers. This is really, I think, a good way to grow. And then in 2019 we had 50% growth, and I think we'll do really pretty well in 2020. Probably somewhere between 30 to 40% growth.
Fantastic.
Despite a lot of very difficult circumstances. There's so many, pandemic, wildfires. It's like a whole bunch of difficult production issues. But thanks to the hard work of the Tesla team and a lot of innovative approaches to overcoming issues, we're able to still see significant growth in one of the most difficult, in fact, I'd say probably the most difficult year of Tesla's existence. And we also published our extended impact report. At Tesla, we try very hard to do the right thing. If the right thing does not happen, it's just because we maybe made a mistake or weren't aware of it. But we always try to do the right thing as to the best of our ability. And then we published the extended impact report to show, just a sort of a self-examination of, okay, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? What can we do better in the future? We're definitely trying to accomplish the most good, and so, if we occasionally make a mistake, we work quickly to fix it and do the right thing. So, it's worth looking at the average life cycle emissions in the U.S. And just how much better a Tesla is or an electric car than any kind of gasoline car. And what we'll talk about in the battery day is also just how much the grids around the world and actually, especially in the U.S., are greening. It's actually much faster than I think people realize. the U.S. is moving towards sustainable energy. And so as we move more and more to sustainable energy, then effectively you end up building the solar factories and the car factories themselves with solar. Over time you do, or with sustainable energy. Over time you'll even mine with sustainable energy, and eventually it will get to an effective emissions of 0. So that's where things will end up. Yeah. So we also have safety at the core of our design. The Tesla cars are the safest cars ever designed. We have the lowest probability of injury of any cars ever tested by the U.S. government, and that's just passive safety. When you add active safety into that, it's even better. It's really, if safety is important to you, which obviously it is, the safest car you could drive is a Tesla.
Yeah.
So, I think some people aren't aware of this, but it's really, safety is paramount. It is actually the number one design objective when we build a Tesla is safety. Our factories are also becoming safer, and if you look at the sort of accidents per total vehicle made, it's dramatically better than in the past, and it's already better than industry average, and we're confident we can get it to the best in the auto industry. Autopilot functionality continues to improve, and you can see it in the safety report that we publish every quarter. It's just getting better and better. The U.S. average for collisions is at roughly 2.1 per million miles, and with autopilot engaged, it's 0.3. I mean, this is a profound difference. It really massive, and this will get even better. So we're confident that over time we can get the probability of an accident, especially the probability of injury, to 10 times better than the industry average, like an order of magnitude better. So that's just a lot of lives saved and a lot of injuries avoided. So that's a huge priority for us. On the autopilot front, I think it's kind of hard for people to judge the progress of autopilot. I'm driving. I as a matter of course, I've always done this. I drive the bleeding edge alpha build of autopilot, and so I sort of have insight into what is going on. Previously, about a couple of years ago, we were kind of stuck in a local maximum. So we're improving, but like the improvements kind of started tailing off and just not getting where they needed to be. I call this sort of getting trapped in a local maximum. And so we had to do a fundamental rewrite of the entire autopilot software stack.
Wow.
And all of the labeling software as well. So we're now labeling in 3D video. So this is hugely different from previously where we were labeling essentially a bunch of single images from the 8 cameras, and they would be labeled at different times by different people. And some of the labels, you literally can't tell what it is you're labeling. So it basically made it sort of in some cases impossible to label, and the labels had a lot of errors. Now, with our new labeling tools, we label it in video. So we actually label entire video segments, and the system, so you get basically a surround video thing to label, and with the surround video and with time. So it's now taking all cameras simultaneously, and looking at how the images change over time and labeling that, and then the sophistication of the neural nets in the car and the overall logic in the car has improved dramatically. I think we'll hopefully release a private beta of Autopilot, of the full self-driving version of Autopilot, in I think a month or so.
Oh wow!
And
That's fantastic.
We'll really understand just the magnitude of the change. It's profound. So yeah. Anyway, so you'll see it's just like a hell of a step change. But because we had to rewrite everything, labeling software, the entire code base, it took us quite a while, and the sort of new sort of, I call it like 4D in the sense that it's 3 dimensions plus time. it's just taken us a while to rewrite everything. And so, you'll see what it's like. It's amazing. Yeah, it's just it's clearly going to work.
It's clearly gonna work.
In terms of core competencies, we've got engineering, obviously. Also manufacturing. I think manufacturing is underappreciated in general, and the difficulty of designing the machine that makes the machine is vastly harder than the machine itself. So, the designing, like making a Model 3 or Model Y or a Cybertruck prototype is really quite trivial compared to designing the factory that makes it. Especially if it's new technology and you want to use new manufacturing methods, it's just at least 10 to 100 times harder to do the factory than the prototype. And that's why you see a lot of companies out there or startups, they'll bring out a prototype, but they just can't get it over the hump for manufacturing.
Is he talking about Nicola?
Of new technology especially is the hardest thing by far. Like basically the prototype is at best 10% of the difficulty and probably closer to 1%. And then software. Tesla is both a hardware and a software company. So a huge percentage of our engineers are actually software engineers. And you can think of our car as kind of like a laptop on wheels. And so software is incredibly important. And so not just in the car, but also in the factory. So the factory software is extremely important. Just software in general. These are fundamental. These are the three critical areas that are needed to make for an awesome company. So
let's jump into batteries, guys. Finally, hopefully.
So we have
maybe not.
We'll soon have three new factories, incremental. We have one already on 3 different continents. Shanghai. We're expanding the Shanghai.
We still have Alan's sound, but no. He's back.
Even faster progress. So, yeah. With each factory, what we're trying to do is also improve the manufacturing technology. So, it's in some cases, like the Model Y made in Berlin might look the same, but it actually is made in a much more efficient way. And we'll talk about that later in the battery presentation. Yeah, launched Megapack. It's a 3 megawatt-hours all-in-one energy storage solution. So it's been great overall. Yeah. All right.
That's my screensaver.
All right. Thank you. All right. Well, thanks everyone for coming, and we'll be back in a little bit to go through the battery stuff. And there's a little bit more, in addition to the battery stuff, we got a few extras as well. So I think you'll really like what we have to say on batteries. The battery stuff we're going to talk about is truly revolutionary and essential to Tesla's goal. The fundamental good of Tesla. It's like if you look back in history and say what good did Tesla do? The good will be to by how many years did we accelerate sustainable energy? That's like the true metric of success. It matters if sustainable energy happens faster or slower. And so that's really like how I think about Tesla and how we should sort of assess our progress. By how many years did we accelerate sustainable energy? And what we're going to talk about with batteries and a few other things will really explain how we're going to make a step change improvement in the acceleration of sustainable energy. Thank you.
Okay, guys, this marks the end of the annual shareholder meeting, I guess.
Hi, folks. That was great. We're going to take a short break before we begin the Battery Day event. So stay tuned. If you're local and here in the audience today, you can feel free to get out of the cars and stretch your legs. But try to stay near the cars because we're going to begin promptly in a little bit. See you soon.
Great. Okay, so it was fantastic. I mean, listen, guys, I think that what Tesla did in the last couple of months, in the last 12 months, so to say, the whole year, was absolutely outstanding. I mean, which other company you saw, went through so much hassle? Okay, so much hassle. And I'm talking about, ramping up Model 3, ramping up Model Y, creating this Model Y production line. Gigafactory China. I mean, it was a fantastic year for us, right? As Tesla investors, I think that we absolutely, if you see this kind of raw diamond that the Tesla stock was apparently in 2019, if you're here for a longer period of time, if not, consider subscribing, obviously. But I think that what is really important is to see through all of that noise that you see on the stock market, right? There was short sellers saying, the company will not make it. And they were all, to be fair, Tesla was always so close to, not make the next step. But, especially to those that, believed in the vision of Elon, seeing the team and the company working so hard through all of that problems, that is obviously outstanding. And, we were very much surprised when Elon Musk then showed us the dance move, which is, a small presentation of that he might be an alien. I like the presentation so far in terms of that he give us a little bit of a recap. I hope they don't let us wait too long, because, this is, in the end of the day, the battery day that we wanted to have a look together into. So stay with me. In the meantime, we can smash that like button. If you like, guys, this would be highly appreciated. You can follow me on Instagram as well, Wolf of Dubai Denny. It's written, I think, also in my small window in the down here somewhere, guys. Yeah. And then we are obviously, waiting here. As you can see, people are making photos of something, as I can see here, in the top left. I don't know if I can zoom in, but as you can see, people are making somehow of kind of videos. I don't know if there's Elon Musk sitting or saying anything, or just, they're making some other things here, but it's definitely, people are moving here. I guess you could be part of it if you are a shareholder. So if you're a shareholder, you could be a part of this event in your car, obviously here, so socially distanced, in their Model 3 and Model Ys. I actually don't see any other cars. Or is it all Model Ys? Let me know in the comments. What do you think? Model 3, press the 1. Model Y, press the 2. Let me know, guys, what you think. It seems the first row, at least, looks like all Model Ys, right? Maybe it's only Model Ys accepted. We don't know. However, it's fantastic to see what we have here. Yeah, everyone. Robert just posted here in our live chat. Everyone had to get out to tweet. There's some people are jumping. They saying, hey grandma, switch on the TV. Look at me, I'm jumping right there. Okay, here, you see them? I will zoom in. Here, all of those people trying to get some attention, right? How many people are watching this stream, by the way? In 243,000 people are watching the Battery Day right now worldwide on the official Tesla channel. I'm glad that now 608 people, guys, watching our stream. This is obviously highly appreciative. I will let the Ellen dance a little bit for you guys for that. This is highly appreciated. So it seems that we will have, a little break. So if you want to go to the toilet, then maybe there is something that you can do right now. Other than that, we talked about it already, what is expected. And it's always, but with these big events, guys, and it's the same with Apple, it's the same with Neuralink, or Neuralink is a bad example because it's not a public traded company, but it's always the same with Apple. It's always the same with, for example, Peloton recently, right? Or with quarter earnings. It's all about what people are expecting to be presented. What are the numbers? What are the improvements? What are the values that are created for the customers of Tesla? And exactly those expectations are going to be beaten most of the time, in my personal opinion, by Elon Musk, because I just hope, and I don't know what is your personal opinion about it, let me know in the comments, but why, or I hope that the presentation will be not that technical. Why? First of all, most of the shareholders are not, doctors of engineering or anything like that. We need simple forms to understand. A battery costs today $125 per kilowatt hour, and it will cost $100, and in 2 years it will cost $75, and then we will kill the internal combustion engine. This is something that I understand, and I love always the expression, if someone trying to tell me something very, very high educated because he's a doctor of Nikola stock, I always say, please explain it to me as if I would be 5 years old, because if you can, then you understand it, okay? If you can break it down, and actually this is something that Elon Musk also very much follows, is that he is looking into the very, very simple terms of physics, right? So, for example, there was a space rocket, right? When he started the SpaceX endeavor, that the whole production costs of a rocket, were actually, I think, 2% of the whole scenario. So he said, building the rocket is definitely something that is need to be be more efficient, and why we throwing away things, and the simple answer would be because they cannot come back. And then the question is why they cannot come back. And then you ask the question to the next level, and the next level, and the next level, and then you come to a very, very easy part, which in the end at SpaceX was, we just don't know how to create software and hardware and everything working together, that rockets would come back, because then we can make this whole crazy prices for, oh, I love this dance, guys. Look at this guy, he's absolutely very excited here. Who's dancing better, this guy or this guy? Let me know in the comments, guys. Ellen or this guy is dancing better. But you get the point. So it's always the question, which question, well, this was well said, which question you are asking yourself or your team or your company. Okay, it seems that everyone trying to get back in their cars, so we should be very close to battery day right now. I hope you are sitting, guys. But as you can see, it's very important to ask these very simple questions, because then you can do something about it. And I read the book of Elon Musk, which I can highly recommend. Okay, I can highly recommend the book of Elon Musk, where he is saying, or there was some scenes described actually, where he's saying there was one guy who should create some kind of remote, okay, some controller, and he said, I come from NASA and we are ordering this part for like, I don't remember the numbers, but it was something like ridiculous, like $250,000, right? And Elon Musk said, well, this is a part that, is so simple as a garage door opener remote. And, he gave him this vision, and he worked a couple of months his ass off, right? To create this new controller, this new remote, to actually, show it that it can be done. And in the end, they paid only like $10,000 for it, right? And, he wrote a very, very big email to Elon Musk, said, thank you. And, I made it. And, now it's so cheap. And thank you to you that you brought me these ideas. And, this is how I will things approach in the future. And all that Elon Musk replied was a simple okay. Apparently he's in terms of emails, setting this company and worldwide emails aside, he's trying to be very productive, right? So he's not like the big emails, 10 sides of emails person. He is absolutely someone who's saying, I'm just saying okay here, this and that. So quite interested to see how further it can go. All right, it seems that everybody is going to their cars. We should be going further into this event and watching more Battery Day. I hope you like it so far. If yes, make sure to subscribe if you're a new one, and make sure to thumb up, because it continues, guys. It continues. The event continues. Yeah, what a joy always to watch Elon Musk. Now they're playing some ads. 9th of September 2020. There's no sound, guys, so this is not me. It's just the overall presentation that has no sound. So here we have no sound yet. 9th September 2020. Which city is that? Do someone know which city is that they are showing right now? Anyone? Oh, this is San Francisco? No. Oh yeah, of course, the bridge is San Francisco, but I think that before they were showing some... Here we go. Elon Musk is back, guys. Oh, okay. This was
hello, everyone.
Put together of many cities, in the...
Sure. Thanks, Elon. Oh, hi. I'm Drew Baglino, SVP of Powertrain and Energy Engineering at Tesla, and I'm incredibly excited to talk about what we've been doing at batteries here at Tesla.
Great. So let's see, you got the clicker?
Yeah, I got the clicker, yeah.
Okay, let's yes. I'll take it first, perhaps.
Sure.
So obviously the issues we're facing are very serious, with climate change, and we're experiencing these issues on a day-to-day basis. It's incredibly important we accelerate the advent of sustainable energy. Time really matters. This presentation is about accelerating the time to sustainable energy. So, the past 5 years were the hottest on record. We have what looks like a wall for CO2 ppm. It's obviously, this time is not like the past. It's really important that we take action. Running this climate experiment is insane. So,
especially when it's just a transitory one anyway.
yes.
We're going to run out of these fossil fuels. Let's just move to the future and not run this experiment any longer.
Yeah. A little bit louder.
You got it.
Okay. So anyway, there is a lot of good news though. A lot of people may not be aware that wind and solar comprise 75% of new electricity capacity in the U.S. this year. So this is a really major. So the grid is going sustainable very quickly. Now, it's also worth noting that the length of time that power plants last is on the order of 25 years. So even if 100% of energy generation was sustainable, it would still take 25 years to convert the grid. And it's also worth noting that in the past 10 years, power production from coal has dropped in half. So it went from 46% of electricity in 2010 to 23% in 2020. So this is a massive improvement. So good things are happening on a lot of levels. We just need to go faster. So in terms of Tesla's contribution, we've delivered over 1 million electric vehicles, 26 billion electric miles driven, and many gigawatt hours of stationary batteries, 17 terawatt hours of solar generated. So I think solar is sometimes underweighted at Tesla, but it is a massive part of our future. The three parts of a sustainable energy future are sustainable energy generation, storage, and electric vehicles. So we intend to play a significant role in all three. So to accelerate the transition to sustainable energy, we must produce more EVs that need to be affordable and a lot more energy storage while building factories faster and with far less investment. So goal number one is a terawatt-hour scale battery production. So tera is the new giga, and a terawatt is 1,000 times more than a gigawatt. So we used to talk in terms of gigawatts. In the future, we'll be talking in terms of terawatt hours. So this is what's needed in order to transition the world to sustainability.
Yeah, and you can see we're talking about 100x growth in batteries for electric vehicles to achieve this mission. And we are going to get there, just a matter of how fast, and our intention is to accelerate it.
Yeah, you basically need on the order of roughly 10 terawatt hours a year of battery production to transition the global fleet of vehicles to electric.
And the average vehicle lasts 15 years, so we're talking about 150 terawatt hours, give or take, to transition the whole all vehicles of all types to electric.
Yeah, so it's a lot of batteries, basically.
And then on the grid side, we have a similar mountain to climb, 1,600 times growth from today's grid batteries to go 100% renewable on the grid and to take all of the existing heating fossil fuel uses in homes and businesses 100% electric.
Yeah, and this number, I think, might grow even more, as the world economy matures and as countries with high populations industrialize, we could see this number be even more. But let's say it's like roughly 20 to 25 terawatt hours per year, sustained for 15 to 25 years to transition the world to renewable. This is a lot.
Yeah.
So today's batteries cannot scale fast enough. They're just too small. For Giga Nevada, 150 gigawatt hours per year is like what we probably expect to make out of there. But this is really pretty small in the grand scheme of things. That's only 0.15 terawatt hours. And they cost too much. So
we would need 135 fully built out Nevada gigafactories to achieve 20 terawatt hours a year. It's not scalable enough of a solution. We need a dramatic rethink of the cell manufacturing system to scale as fast as we can and should.
Yeah, and I think we should view this as more than just a question of money. Money is sort of like an ethereal thing, but it's really the amount of effort. You have a certain amount of effort, in terms of people and machines, and depending on how efficient that effort is, for a given amount of effort, you want the most amount of batteries. So it's not just a question of like, well, if we had $2 trillion, tomorrow you could make this. It's not that easy. You actually need to organize a massive number of people, build a lot of machines, build the machines that make the machines. And so it's incredibly important to have that effort yield the most number of batteries. So, and then goal 2, obviously, we need to make more affordable cars. I think one of the things that troubles me the most is that we don't yet have a truly affordable car, and that is something that we will make in the future. But in order to do that, we've got to get the cost of batteries down. We've got to and we've got to be better at manufacturing, and we need to do something about this curve. The curve of the cost per kilowatt hour of batteries is not improving fast enough. So we've given this a lot of thought over many years to say, okay, how can we radically improve the cost per kilowatt hour curve? It's been somewhat flattening out, actually, in recent years. So
early growth was promising, but you can see we're kind of plateauing. So that's what's motivating us to rethink how cells are produced and designed.
Yeah, exactly. And EV market share is growing, but EVs are still inaccessible to all. And you can see, as Drew was saying, it's like starting to flatten out a little bit because the rate of improvement of the affordability of cars is just not fast enough. So that's why we got Battery Day.
Yeah. To make the best cars in the world, we design vehicles and factories from the ground up. Next.
Yeah.
And now we do this for batteries as well.
Yeah. It's weird, the slides don't show up quite right. What shows up on the screen is not quite what shows up there.
Oh, okay.
It's different.
Yeah, I think it's because that's, yeah.
No, that one's current, supposed to be current. Anyway.
So let's get started. We have a plan to halve the cost per kilowatt hour.
Yeah.
And it's not a plan that rests on a single innovation, some research project that'll never see the light of day. It's a plan that has taken creative engineering and industrialization across every facet of what makes a cell into a battery pack, from raw material to the finished thing. And we're going to go through that plan with you today, step by step, and build up how we get to these goals and how we accelerate this transition and make our vehicles and our grid batteries more affordable.
Yeah, I mean, we basically thought through every element of the battery, well, almost every element. There are a few more elements that we won't get to today, but we will get to in the future.
Yes. So first, before we get too far into it, let's talk about what is in a battery cell. We've got the cap and the can, negative and positive terminals of the cell. When you open that cell, you've got a tab connected to those terminals, what we call the jelly roll, which is the wound electrodes on the inside. You can actually see what this looks like as you unwind it. This is over 1 meter long in a typical 2170 cell. So it's quite a long winding process. And you can see the tab still there. And then, to explain what's actually going on here, we've identified we've got anode, cathode, separator, positive and negative terminal. Watch what happens as we, there we go, discharge the cell. Got lithium moving from anode to cathode, and then the reverse. When we charge the cell, anode moving from lithium moving from cathode to anode across the separator. This is the basic of what makes all lithium-ion batteries, whether they're no matter what the form factor is. And when we look at what's happened to date, at least in our products, we've moved from the 18650 form factor to the 2170 form factor through great collaboration with our partners, Panasonic, new partners like LG and CATL, and probably others in the future.
Actually, a slight note on why is the one called the 18650, although not on the slide, versus the 2170, is that the first 2 digits refer to the diameter, and the second 2 digits refer to the length. So that helps explain why are these weird. What's up with these weird numbers? But nobody could explain to me why there was an extra 0. So I said, like, okay, well, we're deleting the 0 that nobody can explain in future form factors. So that's why it's technically like the 18650 bizarrely. But going forward, it's the 2170 because we just got rid of the extra 0 because it's pointless.
And this was a evolutionary step, going from 1865 to 2170, bringing 50% more energy into the cell. But when we look to the ideal cell design, if we were to do it ourselves, we need to go beyond just what we're looking at us in front of us, and study the full spectrum of options. So as you can see, we kind of swept the key figures of merit, how much we can reduce the cost, and how much vehicle range increases as we change the outer diameter of the cell. We found a sweet spot somewhere around 46 millimeters. But it's not just about a bigger form factor. Like, anybody could make a bigger form factor.
Any fool could make a bigger form factor. We not any fool.
Yeah, exactly. There are problems as you make cells larger. In fact, supercharging and thermals in general become really challenging as you make bigger cells. And this was the challenge that our team set our sights on to overcome. And we did. We came up with this tabless architecture that maybe you've heard about, that basically removes the thermal problem from the equation and allows us to go to the absolute lowest cost form factor and the simplest manufacturing process. And this is what we mean when we talk about tabless. It's kind of a beautiful thing.
That's what these T-shirts mean, but it's very esoteric. Like nobody could figure it out. But
yeah, we basically took the existing foils, laser patterned them, and enabled dozens of connections into the active material through this shingled spiral you can see, with simpler manufacturing, fewer parts, 50 millimeter versus 250 millimeter electrical path length, which is how we get all the thermal benefits.
Yeah, this is important to appreciate. Like basically the distance that electron has to travel, is just much less. So you actually have a shorter path length in a large tabless cell than you have in the smaller cell with tabs. This is a big deal. So
wow,
even though the cell
that's
is bigger,
huge, guys.
it actually has more power. The power to weight ratio is actually better than the smaller cell with tabs. This is, again, like this is quite hard to do. So it's nobody's done it before. And it really took a tremendous amount of effort within Tesla engineering to figure out how do we make a freaking tabless cell and have it actually work and then connect that to the top cap. And it's there's a whole bunch of things that we're keeping a little secret sauce here that we're not telling everything.
Sometimes what's elegant and simple is still hard, and it took us a lot of trials, but we're happy where we ended up.
Yeah, I mean everything's simple in recollection. After you simple, everything it's hard until it's discovered, and then it's simple. So anyway, there's a lot of really cool things going on that enable tabless, and it's really due to a really great engineering team. Drew and the rest of the team have done amazing work in achieving this tabless construction. And it sounds, I think it may sort of sound a bit silly to some people, but this is like, for people that really know cells, this is a massive breakthrough.
For cylindricals to be able to get rid of the tabs dramatically simplifies winding and coating.
Yeah.
And has an awesome thermal and performance benefit.
Yeah, that's just to elaborate on that a bit. It's like when the cell is going through the system, it has to keep stopping where all the tabs are.
Yes.
So you can't do continuous motion production if you have tabs. You have to keep stopping, and then there's a rate at which you can start and stop and accelerate again, and it really slows down the rate of production. And then sometimes you get the tabs wrong, and you also lose a little bit of active area. It's really a huge pain in the ass to have tabs from a production standpoint.
Yes. And so when we put it all together and go to our new 80 millimeter length, 4680, we call this new cell design, we get 5 times the energy with 6 times the power and enable 16% range increase, just form factor alone.
Yeah, so these, yeah, it's pretty great. And just to clarify that when we see these plus the 16% or whatever the percentage range increases, these are the amounts due just to that particular innovation.
Yes.
So we'll list a whole bunch of innovations, and then when you add them up, you get a total improvement in energy density and cost. But these numbers are what refer to just this thing.
Yeah, and I want to stress, this is not just a concept or a rendering. We're starting to ramp up manufacturing of these cells at our pilot 10 gigawatt hour production facility just around the corner.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So, yeah. It's a video of some of what's going on in the plant. Now, I mean, to be clear, it will take about a year to reach the 10 gigawatt hour capacity. This is important to appreciate. Like when you build a factory, there's a certain capacity that you design to, and then it takes some period of time to actually achieve that capacity. So I would say it's probably about a year before we get to the 10 gigawatt hour annualized rate with the pilot plant. And this is just a pilot plant. The actual production plants will be more on the order of maybe 200 gigawatt hours, maybe more over time.
And thank you. But let's stack up everything we just saw at the cell level. So just the cell form factor change enables a 14% dollar per kilowatt hour reduction. Just that cell form factor change.
Wow. Okay,
you've been
guys, this will be
teased
super
on
excited,
this factory,
okay?
We're going to go on and walk step by step through that factory and discuss a series of innovations there. When thinking about the ideal cell factory, we have inspirations behind us in the paper and bottling industry, where from humble beginnings, over a century of innovation has enabled mass scale, continuous motion, unbelievably low manufacturing cost. And when we think about the lithium ion industry, which is really only in its third decade of high volume production, it has so far to go to achieve similar scale and simplicity. And that was the inspiration that we set out to the team as we thought about how to marry cell design and manufacturing in the best possible factory. And let's talk a little bit about what's in a cell factory. First, there's an electrode process where the active materials are coated into films onto foils. Then those coated foils are wound in the winding process we just talked about, where if you do have tabs, you have to start and stop a lot. Then the jelly roll is assembled into the can, sealed, filled with electrolyte, and then sent to formation, where the cell is charged for the first time, and where the electrochemistry is set and the quality of the cell is verified. And we set out at every step of this process to try to take that inspiration we just showed and think about how we make those processes fundamentally better and more scalable. And one of the most important processes is where it all begins, the wet process of the electrode coating. And just to give you all a sense of scale, I'm going to walk through what's in that wet process. You've got mixing, where the powders are mixed with either a water or a solvents for the cathode. That mix then goes into a large coat and dry oven, where the slurry is coated onto the foil, huge ovens, tens of meters long, dried, and that solvent then has to be recovered. You can see the solvent recovery system. And then finally, the coated foil is compressed to the final density. And when you're looking at this, you're like, wow, that's a lot of equipment for one step, especially when you consider that little speck next to the coating oven is a person. This is serious iron involved in making batteries. Wouldn't it be great if we could skip that solvent step, which is one of those dig a ditch and then fill it kind of things, where you put the solvent in and then take it out and recycle it.
And here comes Maxwell.
To dry mix to coat. And that's what the dry process really is about. And in the most basic form, you can see it here on a bench top. Literally, powder into film. As simple as that.
I mean, it's hard, actually, just to be clear. If this was easy, everyone would do it. So it's not like dry coating electrode is actually easy. It's actually very hard to do what appears to be a simple thing. And it's worth noting, we did acquire Maxwell as like a little over a year ago, I guess. It's certainly a good company and everything, but the dry coating they had was it's like sort of I would call proof of concept. Since the acquisition, we've actually revved the machine that does dry coating 4 times. So we're in revision 4 post-acquisition of the machine, and there's still a lot of work to do. So I would not say this is like completely in the bag. There's still a lot of work to do, and as you go from like benchtop to lab to pilot to volume production, there are actually major issues that you encounter at every level. It's not like, you make something work on your bench and bingo, now you can make a bazillion of it.
Absolutely.
It's insanely difficult to scale up.
But if you do scale it up, what you saw before becomes this.
Yeah.
So you can see the motivation. A 10
Wow.
times reduction in footprint, a 10 times reduction in energy, and a massive reduction in investment.
Crazy.
But as Elon was saying, simple is hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to be clear, I would like not say that right now it's just totally working. It's close to working, but it's not, even now, at the pilot plant level, it is close to working. Well, it's fair to say it does work, but with not a high yield.
Yeah.
So
we're still ironing out the kinks, but we've made tens of thousands of cells, thousands of kilometers of electrode. I mean, we are on the 4th generation of the equipment, so we've learned a lot along the way.
Yeah.
I mean, it is super demanding because every atom has its place if you want to deliver the energy density and the cycle life and the supercharging.
Yeah.
But we're confident that we will get there, but it will be a lot of work along the way.
There's a clear path to success, but a ton of work between here and there.
Yeah.
So, but this is a really profound improvement. Again, for people that know battery manufacturing, this is gigantic. We'll probably be on machine revision 6 or 7 by the time we do large-scale production. The rate at which the machines are being improved is extremely rapid. Like literally every 3 or 4 months is a new rev.
Yeah, and beyond the electrode, we continue to innovate on every other process step. So let's talk a little bit about assembly, which is next. The key to a high-performing assembly line is accomplishing processes while in motion, continuous motion, and thinking of the line as a highway, max velocity down the highway, no start and stop, no city driving.
Exactly, no stoplights and traffic lights or anything. You want the highway.
I want the highway.
Yeah.
And together with our internal design team that makes this equipment and designs this equipment, we coupled thinking about how to make the best cell with thinking about how to make the best equipment so that we could accomplish the fastest parts per minute rates on all of these tools. And through all of that development, we were able to get to the point where we can implement assembly lines, one line, 20 gigawatt hours, 7 times increase in output per line. And when you're thinking about scalability and pure effort, having one line be 7x the capability is just effort multiplying.
Yeah. So, you can sort of think about like the sort of the fundamental physics of a factory or something. Like, I think it's actually quite a lot like the rocket equation, where you've got basically the rocket equation. You've got your exhaust velocity and then the log of the start to end masses. So it's basically saying, how fast are things going and what percentage of the factory volume is doing useful work. And conveyance does not count as useful work. So
only the value-added steps.
Yeah, if you break the factory down into cubic meter sections, and say, or smaller, it could be like 1 liter sections, and say, is a majority of this volume doing useful work? You would be astounded at how bad most factories are. They're like maybe 2 or 3%, including our factory in Fremont. So I think it is possible to get to at least 10 times that volumetric efficiency. So more like 30% ish, maybe more, and be 10x better, which means the factory can be 10 times smaller. And then the other thing is how fast are things going through the factory? It's like speed and density. The faster you go, like if a factory that's moving at say twice the speed of another factory is equivalent to 2 factories basically, and the company that will be successful is the company that with one factory can accomplish what other companies take 2 or 3 or 4 factories to do. So this is what we're trying to do here is say, okay, how do we with one factory achieve what maybe 5 or even 10 factories would normally be required to achieve?
And the vertical integration with the machine design teams at Groman and Hybar and others allows us to really accomplish that because we don't have all these edge conditions between one piece of equipment and another. We can design the entire machine to be one machine and remove all of these unnecessary steps.
Yeah, I mean, basically Tesla is aiming to be the best at manufacturing of any company on Earth. This is the thing that's actually most important in the long run. I think just from a company standpoint and from basically achieving sustainability as fast as possible. But I think also for long-term competitiveness, eventually every car company will have long-range electric cars. Eventually every company will have autonomy. I think, but not every company will be great at manufacturing. Tesla will be absolutely head and shoulders above anyone else in manufacturing. That is our goal.
Manufacturing is hard, and hard problems are fun to solve. Okay, now let's talk about formation. In a typical cell factory, formation represents 25% of the investment. And what is formation? It's charging and discharging cells and verifying the quality of the cell. Turns out we've charged and discharged billions and billions of cells in our vehicles, so we know a thing or two about that. The typical formation setup is you charge and discharge each cell individually. In our car, we charge thousands of cells at once. And we took our principle and our power electronics, leveraging Powerwall, vehicle battery management systems, and others, to dramatically improve the formation equipment cost effectiveness and density. 86% reduction in formation investment, 75% reduction in footprint.
So.
You want to take this one?
Sure. So essentially what this translates to, based on what we know today, is about a 75% reduction in the investment per kilowatt hour or gigawatt hour. It's just basically 4 times better than the current state of the art to the best of our knowledge. And I think there's probably room to improve even beyond that.
Definitely.
Definitely, yeah. We're able to, from a volume standpoint, actually get what in a smaller form factor than Giga Nevada, we were able to get many times the cell output. So you can see, like, basically we can get a terawatt hour in less space than it took to make a gigawatt hour. 150 gigawatt hours. So this is pretty profound. It's like I would actually not have thought this was possible several years ago. That we could actually get to terawatt hour scale in less space than what we currently envision for doing 150 gigawatt hours.
Crazy.
Yes, simpler accelerates terawatt hour scale, and that's what we need to do to accelerate our mission. And as Elon said, we're going to try to even improve on this as we push towards our goals, which are.
Yeah. So this is just for. This is just talking about Tesla internal cell production. As I tweeted out earlier, we will continue to use our cell suppliers, Panasonic and LG and CATL. And so this is 100 gigawatt hours supplemental to what we buy from suppliers. Essentially, this does reduce our weighted average cost of a cell because it allows us to make a lot more cars and a lot more stationary storage. And then long term, we're expecting to make on the order of 3,000 gigawatt hours or 3 terawatt hours per year. I think we've got a good chance of achieving this actually before 2030, but I'm highly confident that we could do it by 2030.
When you look at the size of that factory on the previous page, it really shows how enabling all of these advancements are in achieving a 3 terawatt hour goal by 2030. And not only is all of that manufacturing innovation fantastic for enabling scale, it's also an additional 18% reduction in dollar per kilowatt hour at the battery pack level.
Wow.
Wait, there's more.
Wow, crazy. I don't want to know how much a kilowatt hour afterwards costs.
So
this is revolutionary,
system,
guys.
We've got a cell design. What are the active materials we're going to put in that cell design? Let's talk about the anode first. Let's talk about silicon. Why is silicon awesome? It's awesome because it's the most abundant element in the Earth's crust after oxygen, which means it's everywhere. It's sand.
Yeah. Sand is silicon dioxide.
Yeah. And it happens to store 9 times more lithium than graphite, which is the typical anode material in lithium-ion batteries today. So why isn't everybody using it? The main reason is because the challenge with silicon is that it expands 4x when fully charged with lithium. And basically all of that expansion stress on the particles start cracking, they start electrically isolating, you lose capacity, the energy retention of the battery starts to fade, and it also gums up with a passivation layer that has to keep reforming as the particles expand.
Yeah, basically, with silicon, the cookie crumbles and gets gooey. That's basically what happens.
Good analogy.
Yeah.
And current approaches to solve this, which exist, I mean, we have silicon in the cars that you're all in right now, are involved highly engineered, expensive materials in the scheme of things. Now, they're still great, and they enable some of the benefits of silicon. They just don't enable all of it, and they're not scalable enough. And you can see some of the things that maybe you've heard of, SiO, silicon with carbon, or silicon nanowires. I mean, that's kind of the space right now. What we're proposing is a step change in capability and a step change in cost. And what that really is to just go to the raw metallurgical silicon itself. Don't engineer the base metal. Just start with that and design for it to expand in how you think of the particle in the electrode design and how you code it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you saw this. Basically, $1 is per kilowatt hours.
Yeah.
Basically, if you use simple silicon, it's dramatically less than even the silicon that is currently used in the batteries that are made today. And you can use a lot more of it.
The anode would cost, with this silicon, and the anode costs $1.20 a kilowatt hour.
Yeah.
And how does it work? Start with raw metallurgical silicon, stabilize the surface with an elastic ion conducting polymer coating that is applied through a very scalable approach. No like chemical vapor deposition, no highly engineered high capex solutions, and then integrated in the electrode through a robust network formed out of a highly elastic binder. And in the end, by leveraging this silicon to its potential, we can increase the range of our vehicles by an additional 20%, just this improvement.
Yeah, it gets cheaper and longer range.
Crazy.
Yeah, and when we take that anode cost reduction, we're looking at another 5% dollar per kilowatt hour reduction at the battery pack level. And there's more. Let's talk about cathodes. What is a battery cathode? Cathodes are like bookshelves where the metal, the nickel, the cobalt, the manganese, or aluminum is like the shelf, and the lithium is the book. And really, what sets apart these different metals is how many books of lithium they can fit on the shelves and how sturdy the shelves are. Cobalt is a...
Yeah, sorry, I was going to say, it's tough to exactly figure out what the right analogy is to explain cathode and anode, but a bookshelf is probably a pretty good one, in the sense that you need a stable structure to contain the ions. So you want a structure that does not crumble or get gooey, or basically that holds its shape in both the cathode and the anode. As you're moving these ions back and forth, it needs to retain its structure. So if it doesn't retain its structure, then you lose cycle life and your battery capacity drops very quickly.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think people are always talking about what's the cathode going to be? Is it NCA or whatever? The thing to consider is just fundamentally what the nickel, the metals are capable of. And that's what we have on the chart here. Dollar per kilowatt hour cathode of just the metal, using just LME, London Metal Exchange prices, versus the energy density of just the cathode. And you can see nickel is the cheapest and the highest energy density, and that's why increasing nickel is a goal of ours and really everybody's in the battery industry. But one of the reasons why cobalt is even used at all is because it is a very stable bookshelf. And the challenge with going to pure nickel is stabilizing that bookshelf with only nickel. And that's what we've been working on with our high nickel cathode development, which has zero cobalt in it. Leveraging novel coatings and dopants, we can get a 15% reduction in cathode dollar per kilowatt hour.
Yeah. Big deal.
Wow.
But it's not just about nickel. You want to?
Yeah, sure. So in order to scale, we really need to make sure that we're not constrained by total nickel availability. I actually spoke with the CEOs of the biggest mining companies in the world and said, please make more nickel. It's very important. And so I think they are going to make more nickel. But there's also, I think we need to have a kind of a three-tiered approach to batteries. So starting with iron, that's kind of like a medium range. and then nickel manganese as sort of a medium plus, intermediate, and then a high nickel for long range applications like Cybertruck and the semi. Something like a semi truck, it's extremely important to have high energy density in order to get long range. So, just to give sort of iron a bit more time, like although if you look at the watt-hours per kilogram at the cathode level of iron, it looks like nickel's twice as good. But when you fully considered at the pack level, everything else taken into account, nickel is about maybe 50 or 60% better than iron. So iron is a little better than it would seem when you look at it at the pack level fully considered. It's not as good as nickel. Nickel is like 50 to 60% better, but it's actually pretty good. And so, good for stationary storage and for medium range applications where energy density is not paramount. And then, like I said, for intermediate, it's kind of a nickel manganese, and it's relatively straightforward to do a cathode that's 2/3 nickel, 1/3 manganese, which would then allow us to make 50% more cell volume with the same amount of nickel.
And with very little energy trade-off. I mean, just enough to have you still want to use 100% nickel for something like a semi-truck, but really not much of a sacrifice at all.
Yeah.
And, beyond the metals, because a lot of people spend time talking about the metals, actually the cathode process itself is a big target. 35% of the cathode dollar per kilowatt hour is just in transferring it into its final form. And so we see that as a big target, and we decided to take that on. Here's a view of the traditional cathode process. Effectively, if you start at the left and you have the metal from the mine, the first thing that happens is the metal from the mine is changed into an intermediate thing called a metal sulfate, because that's just happened to be what chemists wanted a long time ago. And then when you're making the cathode, you have to take this intermediate thing called metal sulfate, add chemicals, add a whole bunch of water, a whole bunch of stuff happens in the middle, and at the end, you get that little bit of cathode and a whole bunch of wastewater and byproducts.
Yeah, it's insanely complicated. If you look at the total, like if you're just like, it's a small world journey of I am a nickel atom. What happens to me? And it's crazy. Like you're going around the world 3 times. There's like the moral equivalent of like digging the ditch, filling the ditch, and digging the ditch again. It's total madness, basically. And these things just grew up as they're just kind of like legacy things that it's like how it was done before, and then they connected the dots, but really didn't think of the whole thing from like a first principle standpoint, saying how do we get from the nickel ore in the ground to the finished nickel product for a battery. And so we've looked at the entire value chain and said, how can we make this as simple as possible?
And that's what we're proposing here with our process. As you can see, a whole lot less is going on here. We get rid of the intermediate, metal, water, final product cathode, recirculate the water, no wastewater at all.
Wow.
When you summarize all of that, it's to 66% reduction in CapEx investment, a 76% reduction in process cost, and 0 wastewater. Much more scalable solution.
That's insane, guys. That's absolutely insane.
And then when you think about the fact that now we're actually just directly consuming the raw metal nickel powder, it dramatically simplifies the metal refining part of the whole process. So we can eliminate billions in battery-grade nickel intermediate production. It's not needed at all.
Yeah.
We can also use that same process we showed on the previous page to directly consume the metal powder coming out of recycled electric vehicle and grid storage batteries. So this process enables both simpler mining and simpler recycling. And now that we have this process, obviously we're going to go and start building our own cathode facility in North America and leveraging all of the North American resources that exist for nickel and lithium. And just doing that, just localizing our cathode supply chain and production, we can reduce miles traveled by all the materials that end up in the cathode by 80%, which is huge for cost.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, cathode production would be part of the Tesla cell production plant. So it would just be, basically, raw materials coming from the mine, and from raw materials in the mine, out comes a battery.
And on that note, the way the lithium ends up in the cell is through the cathode. So then we should obviously on-site lithium conversion as well, which is what we will do using a new process that we're going to pioneer. That's a sulfate-free process again, skip the intermediate. 33% reduction in lithium cost, 100% electric facility co-located with the cathode plant.
Yeah. So it's important to note that there is a massive amount of lithium on Earth. So lithium is not like oil. There's a massive amount of it pretty much everywhere. In fact, there's enough lithium in the United States to convert the entire United States fleet to electric. Like all the cars in the United States, there's like 300 million or something like that. Every vehicle in the United States can be converted to electric using only lithium that is available in the United States.
Discovered today.
What we already know is exists.
People really haven't even been looking.
Yeah, people haven't been trying because it's just like widely available. So, but it is important to say, like, okay, what is the smartest way to take the ore and extract the lithium and do so in an environmentally friendly way? And we actually discovered again, looking at a sort of first principles physics standpoint, instead of just the way it's always been done, is we found that we can actually use table salt, sodium chloride, to basically extract the lithium from the ore. This is, nobody's done this before, to the best of my knowledge, nobody's done this. And it's a sort of, all the elements are reusable. It's a very sustainable way of obtaining lithium. And we actually, we actually got rights to a lithium clay deposit in Nevada.
Over 10,000 acres.
Over 10,000 acres. And then the nature of the mining is actually, I think, also very environmentally sensitive in that we sort of take a chunk of dirt out of the ground, or remove the lithium, and then put the chunk of dirt back where it was. So it will look pretty much the same as before, and it will not look like terrible, and yeah, it'll be nice. Nice.
Yeah.
So
simply mix clay with salt, put it in water, salt comes out with the lithium, done.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So we're really excited about this, and there really is enough lithium in Nevada alone to electrify the entire U.S. fleet.
Yeah, I think that's true. Actually, just what's in Nevada, that's basically so much damn lithium on Earth, it's crazy. It's one of the most common elements on the planet.
And eventually, as we said at the beginning, when we get to this steady state 20 terawatt hours per year of production, we will transfer the entire non-renewable fleet of both power plants, home heating and battery and industry heating and vehicles to electric. And at that point, we have an awesome resource in those batteries to recycle to make new batteries. So we don't need to do any more mining at that point, and you can see why. Yeah. The difference in the value of the material coming back from the vehicle versus the ground, you'd always go to the vehicle. And we recycle 100% of our vehicle batteries today. And actually, we are starting our pilot full-scale recycling production at Gigafactory Reno next quarter to continue to develop this process as our recycling returns grow.
Yeah, I mean, to date it's been done by third parties, but we think we can recycle the batteries more effectively, especially since our batteries, we're making the same battery as the thing we're recycling. So whereas like third-party recyclers have to consider batteries of all kinds.
Yeah, and just to think about what this actually means, the recycling resource is always 10 or greater years delayed because batteries last a really long time. But eventually, it is the way that all resources will be made available, and that's why we're investing in this recycling facility in Nevada.
Yeah. Long-term, new batteries will come from old batteries once the fleet reaches steady state.
Right. Okay, so we just talked about scaling cathode and recycling. All of the benefits that you just saw are added to this benefit of a 12% reduction in dollars per kilowatt hour at the battery pack level. Almost at our halve the cost goal, but there's one more section.
Wow.
Take it away, Elon.
So there's an architecture that we've been wanting to do at Tesla for a long time, and we finally figured it out. And I think it's the way that all electric cars in the future will ultimately be made. It's the right way to do things. So it starts with having a single piece casting, or a single piece casting for the front body and the rear body. And in order to do this, we commissioned the largest casting machine that has ever been made, and it's currently working just over the road at our Fremont plant. We have the
Wow.
It's pretty sweet. Making the currently making the entire rear section of the car as a single piece, high pressure die cast aluminum. And in order to do this, we actually had to develop our own alloy because we wanted a high strength casting alloy that did not require coatings or heat treatment. This is a big deal for castings, especially with a large casting. If you heat treat it afterwards, it tends to deform. It kind of like does this like potato chip thing. So it's very hard to keep a large casting to have its shape. So in order to achieve this, there was no alloy that existed that could do this. So we developed our own alloy, a special alloy of aluminum that has high strength without heat treat and is very castable. So that's a great achievement of our materials team. In fact, in general, we've got a lot of advanced materials coming for Tesla, that new alloys and materials that have never existed before. So you're basically making the front and rear of the car as a single piece, and then that interfaces to what we call the structural battery, where the battery for the first time will have dual use. The battery will both have the use as an energy device and as structure. This is absolutely the way things are done. In the early days of aircraft, they would carry the fuel tanks as cargo. So the fuel tanks actually were quite difficult to carry. They were like basically worse than cargo. You had to kind of bolt them down. It was very difficult. And then somebody said, hey, what if we just make the wing tanks, what if we just make the fuel tank in wing shape? So all modern airplanes, the fuel tank, your wing is just a fuel tank in wing shape. This is absolutely the way to do it. And then the fuel tank serves as dual structure, and it's no longer cargo. It's fundamental to the structure of the aircraft. This was a major breakthrough. We're doing the same for cars. So this is really quite profound. Effectively, the non-cell portion of the battery has negative mass. So we save so much mass in the rest of the vehicle. We save more mass in the rest of the vehicle than the non-cell portion of the battery. So it's like, well, how do you really minimize the mass of a battery? Make it negative. Make the battery non-cell portion of the battery pack negative. It also allows us to pack the cells more densely because we do not have intermediate structure in the battery pack. So instead of having these supports and stabilizers and stringers and structural elements in the battery, we now have a lot more space in the battery because the pack itself is structural. What we do is essentially, instead of having just a filler that is a flame retardant, which is currently what is in the 3-in-Y battery packs, we have a filler that is a structural adhesive, as well as flame retardant. So it effectively glues the cells to the top and bottom sheet. And this allows you to do shear transfer between the upper and lower sheet. Just like if you have like a Formula One craft or like a racing boat, and you have carbon fiber face sheets and say aluminum honeycomb between them, this gives you incredible stiffness. And it's really the way that any super fast thing works is you create basically a honeycomb sandwich with two face sheets. This is actually even better than what aircraft do, because aircraft do not do this. They can't do this because fuel is liquid. So in our case, the batteries are solid. So we can actually use the steel shell case of the battery to transfer shear from the upper and lower face sheet, which makes for an incredibly stiff structure, even stiffer than a regular car.
Yeah.
In fact, if this was a convertible that had no upper structure, it would be stiffer than that convertible would be stiffer than a regular car.
Crazy.
So it's just really really major. So it improves the mass efficiency of the battery, and then those castings are also quite important because you want to transfer load into the structural battery pack in a very smooth, continuous way, so you don't put arbitrary point loads into the battery. So you kind of you want to sort of feather the load out from the front and rear into the structural battery. It also allows us to use to move the cells closer to the center of the car, because we don't have the in the top one we've got that sort of all the supports and stuff. So the volumetric efficiency of the structural pack is much better than a non-structural pack, and we actually bring the cells closer to the center, and because they're closer to the center, it reduces the probability of a side impact potentially contacting the cells, because it has to go, any kind of side impact has to go further in order to reach the cells. It also improves what's called the polar moment of inertia, which is that you can think of like when there's ice skater, arms out or arms in. Arms in, you rotate faster. So if you can bring things closer to the center, you reduce the polar moment of inertia, and that means the car maneuvers better. It just feels better. You won't know why, but it just feels more agile. So it's really cool. This is really major. Like I said, so 10% mass reduction in the body of the car, 14% range increase, 370 fewer parts. So, I mean, I really think that long term, in any cars that do not take this architecture will not be competitive.
And it's not just at the product level a better product, but in the factory, it's a massive simplification. You saw the part removal. It's casting machines. It's the structural battery pack. So we're looking at over 50% reduction in investment per gigawatt hour, 35% reduction in floor space, and we'll continue to improve that as we make the vehicle factory of the future.
Yeah, so there's major improvements on all fronts, from the cell all the way to the vehicle.
And in addition to the improvements we just said on enabling additional range and improving the structural performance of the vehicle, it is worth another 7% dollar per kilowatt hour reduction at the battery pack level, bringing our total reductions now to 56%.
That's insane, guys. That's actually the crossing the break even with the internal combustion engine.
All right, so stacking it up, we're not just talking about cost or range. We've got to look at all the facets. So range increase, we're unlocking up to 54% increase in range for our vehicles and energy density for our energy products. 56% reduction in dollars per kilowatt hour at the battery pack level, and a 69% reduction in investment per gigawatt hour, which is the true enabler when we talk back about how do we achieve this scale problem here.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty nice that investment per gigawatt hour reduction is 69%. I mean, who would have thought?
Yeah, just happened to happen that way.
I mean, 0.420%, of course. So what this enables us to do is achieve a new trajectory in the reduction of cell cost. And now, to be clear, it will take us probably a year to 18 months to start realizing these advantages, and probably to fully realize the advantages, probably it's about 3 years or thereabouts. So, it's not like if we could do this instantly, we would. But it's really, I think what this bodes for, it just really bodes well for the future, and means that the long-term scaling of Tesla and the sustainable energy products that we make will be massively increased. So, what tends to happen as companies get bigger is things tend to slow down. Actually, they're going to speed up.
And they have to speed up if we're going to accelerate the transition to sustainable energy.
Yeah. I mean, long term, we want to try to replace about, at least 1% of the total vehicle fleet on Earth, which is about 2 billion vehicles. So long term, we want to try to make about 20 million vehicles a year.
But I think it's important to point out that when we talked about 3 terawatt hours by 2030, the problem is a 20 terawatt hour problem. So everybody needs to be accelerating their efforts to accomplish these objectives. Doesn't matter where you are in the value chain, there is a ton to do. You need to rethink from first principles how you do it so that you can scale to meet all of our objectives.
Yep.
And Elon?
Sure.
Now the new car, guys. The new cars.
What does this mean for our future products?
Hopefully.
We're confident that long term we can design and manufacture a compelling $25,000 electric vehicle. So, this has always been our dream from the beginning of the company. I even wrote a blog piece about it because our first car was an expensive sports car, and then it was slightly less expensive sedan, and then finally sort of a mass market premium, but like the Model 3 and Model Y. But it was always our goal to try to make an affordable electric car, and I think probably, like I said, about 3 years from now, we're confident we can make a very compelling $25,000 electric vehicle that's also fully autonomous.
And when you think about the $25,000 price point, you have to consider how much less expensive it is to own an electric vehicle.
Yeah.
So actually, it becomes even more affordable at that $25,000 price point.
Yeah.
I really like this guy, by the way, guys.
Performance and range, and we should probably talk about the Model S Plaid. What about that?
Wow, guys.
Yeah. So, anyway, we took the latest Plaid out to his Laguna Seca on Sunday. It got a minute 30, and we think probably there's another 3 seconds or more to take off that time. So we're confident the Model S Plaid will achieve the best track time of any production vehicle ever, of any kind, two-door or otherwise. And you can order it now, and it's available basically end of next year. So, and now we'll move to Q&A.
Absolutely.
So we'll invite a few people on stage.
Wow, these guys
Come on up, team.
are crazy. I mean, this innovation,
team, but, so it'd be great to
innovation in this kind of way is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, this was so much innovation, guys, and innovation after innovation in the battery tech.
Actually, I don't know how
It's
we're getting
incredible. I'm almost speechless, guys. Okay, it's crazy.
Okay, well, you can just you can maybe get out of the car for 2 seconds and yell it at us. I don't know. Hey, how do we get any questions?
Oh, they're mics. Okay, wait for the mic.
There are mics. Okay, great.
All right.
Okay, we'll definitely need to give people mics because otherwise there's no way. Sorry? All right, we're going to pass some mics out. We don't have a name for the $25,000 car yet.
It's a great question, though.
Yes, we will be manufacturing cells in Berlin. Yep.
Thermal management system? For homes.
Oh, you mean like the home HVAC? Yeah, that's a pet project I'd love to get going on. I don't know, maybe we'll start working on that next year. Because I just think you could really make a way better home HVAC system that's really quiet and super efficient and super energy efficient, and also has a way better filter for particles, and and it works very reliably. And we've already developed that for the car. So the heat pump in the Model Y is really pretty spectacular. I mean, it's tiny, it's efficient, it has to last for 15 years. It's got to work in all kinds of conditions, from the coldest winter to the hottest summer. So we've actually already done a massive amount of the work necessary for a really kick-ass home HVAC. And they can also stack them. So if you want to say, depending upon the size of your house or whatever, how much you need, you can just basically stack them. and just have a very compelling, super efficient home HVAC. And then you can also communicate with the car, and it'll know when you're coming home. So it's like, oh, I don't need to keep the house cold all day. I just, cool it down because I knew you were coming home. So the pack can communicate with the car and just like really dial it into when you actually need cooling and heating. It'd be great.
Fun product.
Yeah.
Who's next?
Hello. Hey guys, Eli here from Tesla Owners Club, My Tesla Adventure. Just quick question. So I'm a huge fan of car camping in my Tesla with my dream case, like my all-time favorite activity. Is it going to be possible to get climate control to the back of the Cybertruck?
Okay, guys, the questions here are semi-interesting, and therefore I would love to just give you my 2 cents for now for the presentation. So first of all, guys, what was presented today was absolutely insane. Okay, so I mean, long-term thinking, I think you shouldn't sell a single stock of Tesla because this was revolutionary. People are always talking about, the next big thing in cars and, the competition is coming. But if this is true and comes to fruition, Tesla will be #1 in volume production car company because they can produce every car just 30, 40, 50% cheaper than any car company. And yes, there will be maybe some Daimler and BMW, like now is Bugatti, right? And they will put some cars together, but the big Volkswagen or Toyota of the car industry will be Tesla, guys. Okay, so I really loved the presentation, the style. I love the guy from the powertrains. I loved Ellen's presentation. So let's have a look what the stock is actually doing. I see some people saying it's crashing, and it's actually down. So we are having some good course to buy some cheap Tesla stock tomorrow, apparently. As I thought it will be that, great, insane technology was presented. But people, I think, don't like that it's, a few years away. So I think that's the main reason. Other than that, I think that was a fantastic stream. Thank you very much, guys. Thumb up if you liked it. Make sure to follow me on Instagram as well, Wolf of Dubai Denny. And I actually will leave it here because, we are already on like 2.5 hours. You want to watch this maybe by your own. And guys, I love you. Thank you very much for watching. And I see you obviously tomorrow with fresh new content, as well as a live stream, as well as a daily vlog. As always, thank you very much. Subscribe if you're new here, and take care, stay healthy and safe, and stay electrified. Thank you very much for watching.